Thanks, Chairman. China is an important trading partner with us, becoming increasingly more important customer source for many of American companies. I think we've made a mistake of focusing in Congress almost solely on currency. Yes, that is an issue. Clearly, it needs to rise. Although with quantitative easing ourselves and having devalued our own dollar by about 15%, hard to come to that issue with clean hands. We do need to continue the pressure on. I agree with Dr. Subrahmanyam. It's got to be a multinational effort to be successful in that area. My question is, rather than focus simply on currency, shouldn't we be looking at the broad range of barriers to full trade in China? It seems to me listening to our companies, that is protection of intellectual property rights, it is indigenous innovation, it is directed lending, subsidies of certain companies, restrictions on raw and rare exports, it's a closed capital account. There are a number of those barriers, some obvious, some becoming much more subtle going forward. If we are to insist that China plays by the rules, shouldn't we be examining the broad range of barriers that really stop American companies from fully accessing the China market? And Doctor, I'll just go down the line if you'd like.
Vice Chairman Brady, I completely agree with that, although at this stage the exchange rate has particular salience. I think the issues you've identified are much broader and very important, and I think we need to engage China on that. The question is how? How do we do that? And my very strong plea to you would be to do this multilaterally, because lots of countries out there have very similar concerns, and that would be my.
I agree. Thank you. And I also think we need some metrics. You know, there have been commitments made in dialogues with the U.S., but no real way of measuring, IPR protections, for example. And there may be some progress at the national level. Is it being done at the provincial level? Probably not, because we need a different way, I think, of measuring. Dr. Levy?
I agree completely with you that we should be focusing on these other issues. I think that the analysis that we have to make in our economic diplomacy is, first, of course, what is the impact on the U.S. of these policies, but also how likely is it that we're going to be able to bring about change? Yeah. And we need to be cognizant of the fact that we don't get to present an unlimited number of top issues in negotiations with the Chinese. And if we dilute our requests too broadly, we achieve absolutely nothing. And I think what experience has shown is that policies such as indigenous innovation, rare earth, some of the investment policies, exactly the ones you mentioned, are perhaps more open to change. It doesn't make them easy, but a much better focus of U.S. policy.
Thank you.
The metrics would make the non-binding commitments made in the JCCT and SNED have more bite. So I agree with that point. The other point is there has been multilateral collaboration with Europe and Japan on specific issues when they come up, like government procurement linked to domestic IP. It would be nice to take a more holistic approach with those same governments. Here are the principles, whether they're reflected in WTO commitments or not, that need to be lived by. Here's what we're going to hold you to, instead of doing the whack-a-mole game with Japan and Europe.
Thank you. Mr. Bloomingdale?
Well, like I said, currency manipulation is not a real area of expertise that I have, but again, we continue to look at policies that China has. They have obviously lower wage rates. We've all heard about the suppression of workers' rights, those kind of things that tend to unbalance the fairness of trading. And again, the AFL-CIO's position is we're not opposed to trade, we just want fair trade. And some of the things you mentioned earlier, Vice Chairman Brady, about having environmental protections, labor rights, all those things are critical in promoting fair trade.
Thank you. Can I ask a final 30 seconds left? China, we worked as a nation. You sure? I'll be quick. 30 seconds. We worked hard to move China into the WTO, rules-based trading system, because it's like basketball. There's a reason a college team, college size of 1,500, can compete against a college of 50,000 on a basketball court. It's because they play by the same rules. And we've been very successful in taking China to issues and settling in advance. Looking back, for America, Was it wise to move China into the WTO?
Oh, unquestionably, absolutely no doubt about that. Unambiguous positive. The question is, was it enough? Has China kind of reversed a little bit on that? And what do we need to do going forward? But to continue that process.
Yes, sir.
Yes, it was absolutely the right move.
Thank you.
We have benefited a lot from that, personally, our company. We just need to move them to WTO plus now.
Absolutely. Understand. Thank you. Yield back, Chair.
Senator Klobuchar.
Very good. Thank you very much, Chairman and Vice Chairman.